Roll up, everybody! Have you ever wondered where everything came from?
Yes, indeed. I am too.
Did you know that we are all made from the dust of stars?
Preposterous. Impossible. Ludicrous.
Then, let me show you how you are connected to the history of our universe and invite you all on a journey through space and time.
Yay! Space time adventure!
To the Time Tent. We have gone back in time 13.8 billion years to the beginning of our universe. In the very first moment of time, the universe is almost impossibly hot and crammed full of energy in one super hot single point. Suddenly, the universe expanded. We call this moment the Big Bang. The universe is transformed into a dense soup of subatomic particles. The expanding universe is now 3 minutes old, and energy is condensing, forming the building blocks of our modern universe. Electrons, neutrons, and protons. The universe is now 380,000 years old. The particles called electrons have slowed down and are beginning to be attracted to the protons. Each electron carries a negative charge, and each proton has a similar but positive charge. Their opposite charges balance each other perfectly, and they become the most important couple in the history of the universe. The first atom. Hydrogen. Electrons are also caught by pairs of protons and neutrons, completing the second most simple atom, helium. Atoms are really, really small, but each one has a tiny amount of mass. So every atom's gravity is gently, almost imperceptibly pulling on every other atom in the universe. As more and more atoms are gathered together, they form into gigantic spinning clouds. As the galaxies take shape, bright spots appear deep inside. These new lights signal the birth of the first supermassive stars. These first stars were huge, much bigger than modern stars like the Sun. This one is so big, it could swallow our entire solar system. Suddenly, there is not enough pressure from inside the star to balance out the gravity pulling it in. Gravity wins, and the core of the star collapses. The star blows itself apart in a supernova. Supernovas complete the last stage of the element building process. Within these giant explosions, heavier, rarer elements are formed. Zinc, platinum, and gold. Over billions of years, the debris of exploded stars slowly collects together into giant clouds. Still mostly hydrogen, but now peppered with a mix of heavier atoms. We call these giant clouds nebulae. This one is so big that it could contain our solar system hundreds of billions of times over. Deep inside these pillars, something is happening. This giant disk of gases, molecules, metals, and dust is our solar system. And at its center is a very young sun. Within these churning clouds, gravity is pulling these molecules into great spinning masses. They will become planets. This young planet is our Earth, already a billion years old. For over 100 million years, leftover dust and blocks of frozen gases relentlessly bombard the young planet. Each impact melting the surface and filling the atmosphere with molecules of carbon dioxide, methane, and ammonia. But eventually, impacts slow down and the surface begins to cool. The steam in the atmosphere turns to liquid and it begins to rain. It rains for thousands and thousands of years, eventually covering the whole Earth in water. Under this ocean, a new stage in the journey of atoms and molecules is beginning. Water, heated by the molten rock of the Earth's mantle, bursts through vents in the Earth's crust, dissolving molecules along the way. As it meets the cool water of the ocean, these minerals are deposited, forming towers. As the molecular mixture passes through the mineral-rich chambers, they start to form the molecules we call the building blocks of life. Perhaps it was inside a vent like this, following hundreds of millions of years of chance interactions, that molecules formed the first life in the shape of cells. Some cells began to work together and form groups, until they had become the first multi-celled organisms. Over many, many generations, their forms slowly changed. Some of the original microscopic molecule factories had evolved into simple worms. It wasn't long before the worms evolved into primitive fish. Using iron in blood cells to capture oxygen and calcium to build bones, the fish continued to evolve and dominate the oceans. Over time, the molecules and atoms are constantly being recycled and modified as they pass from one living thing to another. Above the water, plants and giant insects took over the land. But they were soon followed by fish that had evolved the ability to crawl out of the sea and to breathe the oxygen-rich air. These oxygen breathers evolved into reptiles, which became the dinosaurs. And for over 100 million years, dinosaurs dominated the Earth, the masters of molecules, until the giant impact changed the environment so rapidly that many forms of life were unable to survive. The age of the dinosaurs came to an end. But some species did survive. With the dinosaurs gone, mammals evolved to take their place as the new top atom organizers. Through the process of natural selection, they adapted to new habitats. As species died off and new ones flourished, a tree of life mapped out to the generations. Then millions of years later, on a distant branch of the family tree, there grew a new branch of mammals, the apes. Many, many generations later, on a twig from this branch, there stood some very strange apes. These apes were strange because their atoms had formed brains that didn't just think simple thoughts like, I'm hungry, but complex ones like, are we made of, and where did it all come from? They have been finding out the answers ever since. We have gone on a journey to discover what we are made of and where it all came from. We are all made from stars.